I am Shamima Sarkar. I am the director of TERAVARNA Art Gallery. Today we have the privilege of talking to one of our great artists, Robert Obier, and he has been in our gallery for over 2 years, and he has also participated in the LA Art Show for the last 2 years. So this is his second year, and he takes a lot of time to reach this destination every year. Tell us about where you are coming from and what was involved in your journey coming here with all your artwork.
Sure. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and that's about a 25-hour drive. So it's 3 days, essentially, to get here, and I bring everything with me. And I've done that with all of the fairs that I've attended so far. I enjoy having my vehicle with me, for one thing, and it's really a little easier, I think, that way in terms of managing the artwork. And it's always in my care, so I always know it's taken care of.
Thank you. So, this year, every year, you have all these fascinating artworks. And tell us a little bit about what inspires this kind of artwork in you. And
Yes, well, all of my work is really based on really an examination of form language. And I'm very particular about the discipline that I bring to this work. I'm an architect and industrial designer by trade, and I certainly bring a lot of that design concepts into my work. This particular series is based on transportation design in the forms of things that move fast, let's say. And these shapes are based on something in the transportation world. It's called a speed form. And automotive designers will often do study models of concepts for some of the shapes that are going to be in the cars that they're going to design. So it might be the way they crease an angle, or the certain types of curvatures, or the whole sense of the design. And so these are somewhat similar to the concept of a speed form. It was my way in this particular case of studying a Ferrari. So it's a very abstract take on the forms of that automobile. The piece on the end is actually done it's painted of automotive finish with Ferrari's Corsa red, which is their racing red color that the Formula One cars use. And it was really the impetus for the whole collection was to do them in automotive finishes. But as I began getting them made and we started studying them, we used aluminum. And after I knew that we were going to actually machine them from aluminum, I wanted to try some anodized finishes as well. So these two are in anodized finishes. The piece on the end is actually what's called a mill finish, which is the machine finish. And from that, I did a hand brushed finish on it. So that's what this series is meant to be, is an experimentation of various ways to try different assemblies of the parts as well as different types of finishes on them. So I consider these artist proofs, meaning that it was my examination of experimentation with this concept of how they're made and how they're finished, what materials we use, and some of the various arrangements.
so every year you have new thought processes going behind your artwork, and you draw your inspiration from what sources?
Well, basically, as I said, as a designer, I've studied design, architecture, and furniture design, and product design over the years. And I think much of the work that I do is an amalgamation of what I've learned and observed and taught myself about design over that time. So I'm really still inspired by form and how forms are assembled, integrated. My work is always about resolution, that the final piece is something that is very complete. And there's nothing missing and nothing that needs to be added. It's an integrated shape. So that drives my thinking on everything I do. But then the pieces are often, like these, inspired by something particular, like this was transportation shapes.
Thank you. So this is your 5th day at the LA Art Show. What are your thoughts?
Well, let's see, this is my 5th day, my 2nd year, so still have to see what happens through Sunday, but I've had a lot of great conversations with people. A lot of the people that are interested in my work have a design background themselves, or have a background in making things. A lot of them understand or or ask a lot of questions about the way these pieces are actually machined and how they're made, where they're made. So it's been a lot of fun. I enjoy talking about the process because I'm still kind of in the middle of it myself and trying to figure out what the next step is and how I'm going to use some of the technologies that we use to build these pieces.
And for your last year artwork, I know there were a group of people who are interested in those artworks. So what is the current situation with those artworks for?
Well, from last year, I have a piece that's is on consignment right now, and it's in a house in Bel Air, and that house is on the market for sale for $177 million.
Wow!
I'm in there with a lot of other a lot of well-known artists and me, like Damien Hirst and others.
Wow!
Right, and so it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm curious to see how that works out. And the house was spared the fire; that was not an issue. The house is in the hills of Bel Air. And that was not a problem, so that was very fortunate.
Yeah, that's awesome that you are, being able to display your artworks along with Damien Hirst's artwork. So
right.
That's a great privilege,
it is
right?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything that you learned this year that you're going to use in your artwork next year? Any feedback from people?
Yes. Well, I have. Always learning, I hope. That's what I try to do. And I probably will move towards something that I consider to be a little more of interest to the gallery world, because a little more refined, I think, a little more modern in the way that it's presented. Very similar shapes and very similar pieces, but they might have a more austere background and a little bit more of that. So I'm working on it now, trying to think that through.
That brings me to my last question for you: how TERAVARNA can help you. First of all, what are your thoughts on TERAVARNA and how we can help you grow even better?
Yeah, well, no, y'all have done a lot to help me as it is. So that's a good question. I'll have to think about that one really a little bit, because I think we're doing a lot of things together, in terms of online and at the shows, and that has been a great boost. I love coming to LA, and it's a great environment. I think it's a great environment for my work. So yeah, I'm going to have to think about that, and we'll get back on some of the things we might do together. But we can be thinking about future shows. I know y'all do a lot of different shows in different parts of the world, and that might be of interest to something to talk about.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert, for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Okay, well, thank you very much.